Here's a life skill that no one taught you on your TEFL course: how to plan for retirement on a low salary like we have in ELT. Hi, I'm Nicola, and I run a website and a business called The Chilled Investor, teaching people in ELT how to make the most of their money, how to have financial security, how to invest and grow money, which is knowledge that is sorely lacking in this industry. Okay, so first of all, it is possible to plan for retirement on a low salary. If you don't plan for retirement, then quite simply, you are not going to be able to retire. You will have to work forever. The state pensions, if you're getting any, are probably not going to be enough to live. Some countries are better than others, but you do need to start thinking about that. If you don't plan for retirement, you're not going to magically cross some age barrier and have money. That's not how it's going to work. So you do have to plan for it. Otherwise, what you're leaving it to is luck. Maybe you'll win the lottery, maybe you'll inherit something, maybe something huge will happen like that. But otherwise, it's better to plan for it, because if you plan, then you've got more chance of success, okay? Just like a lesson. You can walk in there and wing it, and maybe that will work once, maybe it'll work twice, maybe it worked 3 times. There's going to come a point where you're caught out, okay? So that's what I want to help you do, is how to plan for the lesson that is retirement. The first thing to do is to work out what kind of income, how much do you need or do you want to have when you retire. One way of thinking about that could be that just what do you earn now? And if that is enough to live on now, then it might be enough to live on when you retire, especially if you're paying a mortgage now and you won't have a mortgage to pay in the future. So you could just have your salary now as a goal. Some people would say have a figure in mind that 70% of the income that you have now, because you will have fewer expenses when you're older. But if you're planning for a retirement where you get to do loads of stuff, then you need an income. So just think, what kind of income do you want in retirement? Once you have a goal, it's much easier to reach it than if you don't have one. Then you have to work out what you know you're going to get at retirement. So for example, I'm from the UK and I know that I will get, it's currently about 11,500 a year from the UK for retirement. So I know that as long as I pay my contributions to the UK, then I will have that state pension at retirement. I also live in Spain. There are online calculators that predict more or less how much I can expect to get from the Spanish state pension. Those 2 figures are what I know I will get. I've also got private pensions and investments, and I can do predictions to show me more or less what those would be expected to grow to in the time that I've got until I retire. So you need to have a sit down with the things that you know are coming. You may bank on things like inheritance, but they're not really sure, because if, for example, you think you're going to inherit from your parents, if they have high care costs, then they might not be able to give you the money they're planning. So I would have those things in the back of your mind, but just rely on the things that you know that you have now and that are in the bag. Some people will say you can't trust the governments to pay out the state pension. If that country completely has a big financial collapse, obviously that's happened in Greece, it's happened in countries in South America. A huge financial collapse is the kind of situation where governments won't pay out state pensions. But I think we could probably plan for that as being not very likely, because generally speaking, governments are the most stable thing we've got when it comes to our money. They are who underwrite our savings in the bank. If you feel that your money in the bank is safe, that is because it's government protected. So if you don't trust the government to pay out pensions, then you can't really trust them to pay out if a bank collapses. Now, when you know how much money you're going to be getting from private pensions and other investments, you take the figure of 4%. The theory is that if you've got money invested and you are taking 4% of it every year as an income, that money will still continue to grow. So you won't run the pot out. The state pensions will pay out what they are due to pay out, but everything else, just look at what would, if you predict into the future how much it's going to be, what is 4% of that amount? So if you were planning and wanting a salary of 30,000 in retirement, then you would need a total pot of 600,000 in your private investments, so that 4%, 30k, is what you could take every year. If you're already getting half of that from your state pensions, then you only need 15k a year, so you could get away with a pot of 300,000. These are the rough figures to have in mind to be able to plan for the future. Now, what's probably happened is you've worked out what you need and you've worked out what you're going to get, and there's a gap. And so now your mission becomes, how can you fill that gap? And how you can fill that gap is by money now going into investments that are going to grow for you in the future. This is the kind of stuff that I teach on my courses, but you basically have to look now at what you can do to close that gap between now and the future when you retire. And once you know what that gap is, you can start to try to fill it. That gap is going to exist whether you look at it or not. So of course you can choose not to look at it, but you're going to arrive at retirement and that gap is going to be what you are trying to manage. And when you reach retirement, it's too late. So now in your income earning years is when you want to be trying to improve your situation for the future. Future you is going to be very, very grateful. And part of improving things for the future may mean cutting costs now, looking for areas where you can budget so you can put money into some kind of investment or pension. It also might mean trying to raise your income so that you are earning more money so that you've got more money to save. It is possible if you start working on it early. It's still possible if you're in your 40s or 50s and you're looking at it, going to improve your situation more than if you just wake up on retirement day and now how are you going to fill that gap? Future you will be very grateful for the work that you're going to do today.
If you want to learn how to invest, check out my beginner investing course designed specially for people in ELT.